if I could have Tara Fitzgerald join us at the front of the stage, please.
This is really tight.
Yes. Yeah, because you're going to be mostly up here.
He's very tall. I just have to go. It's so dark, I can't. I know.
Yes, I'm right on the side.
Excuse me, if Eli Owen is here from Cal OAS, can you please come to the front of the room? Eli Owen.
This is very tight. It's time to start.
So they told you you're going to get one question. It's not, is it not? Where? No, you just gotta read it.
Read it?
Yeah, read it. You two share that one, me and Caesar share this one.
You're next to me, I think. Maybe I am here. We have one too many chairs. Well, he's already
It's busy. We're so far apart.
So I guess we'll leave it on the back. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
It's already separated. That makes sense.
There he is.
We got one question. Julie, we got one question. Is that what you said?
Wrap it up after they answer some questions for me. If there's any questions, you're welcome to pass and say the answer to my questions, or you can defer to the audience if you want to. But you're going to make comments first, then we're going to allow after they
have quite the
give
stage
their,
lights
some
here.
questions that kind of should tackle everything after that. I'm going to defer to the mayors first.
I mean,
ask
it's all about
the
good
first
lighting,
question, and
ladies.
we're going to
Let's
turn
be
it
real.
over. Okay.
Just so you know, my question.
We should see what questions we have so we don't repeat it. Do you already have a set question? Or no?
I'm so unprepared. I'm trying to get
So we don't ask the same questions.
Huh?
So we don't ask the same
That
questions.
same questions, yeah.
Your mic's up.
Do you have similar questions like with
Hey,
these?
your mic's up. Your mic's Larry, this is your mic's hot. Your mic's hot.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm State Senator Susan Rubio. and it gives me great pleasure to join you here in this beautiful community. It reminds me of my teaching days. I teach down the street, actually, taught for 20 years, and this is a community that I love. Oh, is there a microphone? Let me see. Can we fix it? Can you hear me a little better? Thank you. Well, thank you again. I'm State Senator Susan Rubio. I was sharing that gives me great pride to be here. I'm a teacher by trade, taught 20 years. Down the street, as a matter of fact, neighboring to Duarte. And so it is really important for us to be together here to really express how we feel about the site that's being proposed. And just wanted to share really quickly that I'm really thankful that so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, number one, that you have all your questions answered. And I know that this is very frustrating, so I want to start by sharing my experience. I'm also a neighbor. I live 8 minutes away from the site. And just like many of you, I also learned about the site on TV, on the news, and I also had to really do some homework to try to find out what was happening with this site. But let me just start by saying that we have our local mayors here, a lot of elected officials. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to ask the elected officials to forgive me for not introducing you right now. There's so many of you, and I couldn't be more thankful to partner with you as we all have a stake in this very important discussion. So today, I just want to say, number one, thank you to our mayors of Azusa, Duarte, Irwindale, and Baldwin Park, where they're the closest in proximity in terms of where this site is going to be proposed. And again, please understand that I also learned about this the same way you did, and and I am a neighbor, and I do live nearby. So today, I just wanted to share that we have a few experts here who are in charge of the site, who can give us more information in terms of the safety, what they are planning to do, and answer the questions as best as we can. Again, we are all learning the information together, but I do appreciate it. So today, I just wanted to share that we have our residents here who have voiced their concerns. When I toured the site on Sunday, I did learn that it was underway. So many of you are right. And I asked the gentleman if they can halt the operations until we can get our community informed. And I was told that it was a federal issue, and I've already said it publicly. I tried really hard to see if we can stop it until we can get our answers, our questions answered, but here we are. So you're going to have an opportunity to ask your questions. We're going to have the experts here who are in charge of the site, answer all the questions that you have. We're going to have our local elected officials also be able to express how they feel, the answers that they want answered. And we're going to see the first hour is going to comprise of them giving us information, and I'm going to have the opportunity to have them introduce themselves, tell you where they come from, how they're involved, and then tell us a little bit about the site. I'm going to have then the local mayors give remarks, ask their questions, and then we're going to turn it over to all of you. So please be patient. I understand this is a very sensitive situation. I've already expressed it as much as I can express it. As a teacher, local teacher, I'm really saddened by the circumstance that we're having to play catch up instead of having the information beforehand and trying to figure it out as a community and as local elected officials. I'm also your neighbor, 8 minutes away. So you feel the way I feel, and believe me, I could only express so much on your behalf, but we do have the experts that are going to share some words with us today. So I would like to ask, currently, I want to ask the local mayors of our cities to introduce themselves, make opening remarks, and I'm going to pass it to each one of them before we can turn it over to our experts. So right now, we'd like to ask Mayor Garcia from the city of Duarte to introduce himself and say a few more remarks. Mayor.
Thank you, Senator. Can you all hear me clearly? Perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cesar Andres Garcia, and I have the honor of serving as mayor of this beautiful city. A city with a large and vulnerable senior population, home to the 5th best cancer research hospital in the world, City of Hope, and a city that prides itself on being the city of health. First, I want to thank Senator Susan Rubio for hosting this town hall. I also want to acknowledge and thank my fellow elected officials from various cities and water boards who are here tonight, as well as the media for helping bring attention to this issue. But most importantly, I want to thank you, the concerned residents, because without your voices, without you sharing on social media and speaking to news outlets, we may not have known what was happening at Lario Park. It is deeply concerning that an agency dedicated to cleaning contaminants from our water will not push back against bringing toxic materials so close to such a vulnerable resource. The San Gabriel River watershed provides drinking water to our communities, and we have serious concerns about the risks this decision possesses. We also have many unanswered questions. What safety precautions will the EPA provide to prevent long-term health effects? Why was Lario Park chosen, a site 14 miles away from the fire site, and designated as a significant ecological area? Why weren't alternative sites like Florence Firestone Park or Altadena Golf Course considered instead? The community still has questions. We're standing here on stage, we have questions, and while we wish these discussions had happened before a decision was made, we recognize that tonight's town hall is an important first step towards finding real solutions. Solutions that prioritize the health and safety of our residents, protect our environment, and ensure transparency moving forward. Our city's position is clear. We firmly oppose this decision. However, we are here tonight not just to voice opposition, but to request a seat at the table, full transparency, guarantees that this operation is truly safe for our air, water, and residents, legacy testing to ensure that any contamination from past industrial activities is addressed and that this site is not further compromised. The diversion of lithium-ion batteries to facilities that are not a high fire risk area, given the well-documented dangers of battery fires and explosions. I also want to thank Congressman Gil Cisneros, who has been a great voice for us. We look forward to hearing from the EPA and Cal OES tonight because our communities deserve clear answers, real accountability, and meaning action. And when we stand together, we get more done. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. And so with that, we do want to share that in the spirit of collaboration, the mayors and I and council members have really discussed, this is about supporting the communities that were impacted. We're extremely sympathetic. This is not about not being helpful, but it is about transparency, as the mayor just stated, and we just want answers to the questions we have, but we're trying to be sympathetic to what's happening in other communities, so we really want you to take that away, that we are here to support Altadena and the surrounding areas that were impacted, but our residents deserve better, they deserve answers, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Gonzalez from the city of Azusa. Mayor?
Thank you, Senator Rubio. Thank you. I am Mayor Robert Gonzalez from the city of Azusa, and I want to first thank all of you for being here, thank the EPA and the representation. But I'm here to express our city's extreme frustration and disappointment. Like many, we first found out and became aware of this through the TV. We were never contacted nor consulted in any form of communication. Lario Park resides within the city of Azusa. The land is owned by the federal government and is up until very recently, LA County Parks and Recreation held the lease. For so many reasons, we were both disappointed and have extreme concerns for this type of operation to take place at Lario Park. My colleagues are joining me, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez, Councilmember Avila, Councilmember Mendez, and Councilmember Bo. The city appreciates the concerns and support from our neighboring cities. While we have no jurisdiction over this operation, our number one priority is health and safety of our residents. Particularly are concerned about the impacts of our local air and water, but most importantly, the potential for long-term negative impacts. The city of Azusa will actively evaluate all our options. Lastly, since the county has decided to relinquish its lease to the property, we will work closely with our neighbors to ensure that there is a long-term plan for the appropriate care and future of that property. Again, thank you, Senator Rubio, for hosting this town hall. I also like to thank Congressman Cisneros for arranging a briefing with the EPA on Monday with my colleagues to at least start conversations and get some type of direction. I want to thank our neighbors in the city for the ongoing support and collaboration. I want to thank all of you for being here because your questions are extremely important to get some answers. So I want to thank all of you again from the city of Azusa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And so just to share, each and every one of these elected officials, along with their council members, have been very engaged since over the weekend. We've been talking, working together, trying to bring this forum together. As we understand, it's really important for all of us to know what happened, but with in mind that the health of our community is really the #1 issue here. I've also talked to local business owners, residents, and it will impact all of us together. So I will turn it over now to the great mayor of the city of Irwindale, Mayor Burola, to say a few words. Mayor?
Mayor from our city of Irwindale, Larry Barola. And before I start, I'd like to thank Senator Rubio for having this town hall meeting. And our mayor, the mayor from the city of Duarte, Garcia, thank you for hosting this in your city. And the rest of the council members there in your city of Duarte here. Thank you very much for having this town hall meeting. It's very important on the issues that we are, all of us are, the issues that we are having here with the Lario Park. You see it on social media, what's going on. And it's a pleasure to see a full crowd here. Everybody's concerned on all these issues there. We need answers. We need answers on things that could happen for the future here at the site. And I like to just, these are the concerns I have. And I like to, with staff here, answer these concerns when they come up. What conditions will the site be left in? Moving forward, what safety protocols and measures are taking place to protect the surrounding communities? That's all of us. What transportation routes are being identified to transport the hazards, this material, and to form the site? One other question I have, what is the timeline for the operation? What's the timeline? Those are the questions I'd like to have answered. And before I close up, I have my colleagues here, Mayor Pro Tem Manuel H. Ortiz, Councilmember Albert Ambriz, and city staff, and we have Councilmember Manuel Garcia and Councilmember Mark Bersita. I'd like to thank you, and thank you again, Senator Rubio, for hosting this event.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. The one thing I can assure all of you is that all the local mayors, as well as local elected leaders, school board members, we all work very collaboratively to make sure that we're doing right by you. And I was very thankful that we all gathered and discussed having this forum to make sure that you have the answers that you deserve and need. I think it's worth noting, which I've already expressed several times, that the toxic waste, it's going to travel 60 miles down to our communities, and that is unacceptable in my view. I think that at the very least, we should have accountability, transparency, and an apology. The fact that my staff and I, as well as the mayors, we worked hour after hour, Sunday, Monday. I mean, we've been working almost 24 hours a day to try and get answers, put this forum together, respond to the hundreds of calls and inquiries from our residents. And I think that we could have done this a little better. So at some point, there was a breakdown in communication, but I really want to give the opportunity to those in charge to really, tell us what we can expect and answer all the questions that the great mayor just stated. But now I'm going to turn it over to the great mayor from the city of Baldwin Park, Alejandra Avila, to say a few words. Mayor?
Thank you, Senator Rubio. And I want to thank also the city of Duarte, the city of Susa, and the city of Irwindale for coming together to work together for our communities, because as I stated before to our mayor from Duarte, we are one community. We are different cities. However, we are one community. So we are here for all of us, for all of you. So hopefully something can be done and we get some answers. With that, good evening, and thank you for attending this critical town hall to discuss the proposed processing site at Lario Park. As the mayor of Baldwin Park, my top priorities are the health and safety and well-being of our residents and the protection of the environment that surrounds our city. Today, I want to address an issue that has sparked significant concerns in our community. The Environmental Protection Agency potential establishment of a hazardous material processing site at Lario Park, just outside of Duarte, is unacceptable. This is near the 210 freeway and the San Gabriel River. While the EPA has established precautionary measures to help prevent human or environmental harm, these measures were presented without prior consultation with neighboring communities. Nobody was informed of this. Baldwin Park, as a part of coalition of 4 cities, is opposing this project and this site. It is particularly concerning that the proximity of the site to residential areas, it's a potential environmental impact on our air quality and groundwater. The planned transportation for hazardous material through Baldwin Park communities is not acceptable. We know that hazardous materials pose serious risks to public health that may not be seen now, but maybe in the future. It's including potential exposure to toxic substance, air and water contamination, and very long health impacts on our residents, especially the vulnerable children and the elderly. While we fully support the recovery efforts from the Eaton fires, it is critical that we embark on the recovery in a way that aligns with our values and safety, sustainability, and environmental stewardship. This is a critical period for LA County recovery efforts, but these efforts should not create new environmental hazards for our communities and our neighbors. Additionally, it is unacceptable that the EPA did not consult with the affected cities prior to selecting the site. They are allowing hazardous materials processing site in the area that would risk the health and safety of Azusa, Duarte, Irwindale, and Baldwin Park, and many other cities. The city of Baldwin Park has 72,000 residents, and thousands of those residents live nearby. The city of Baldwin Park stands along the cities, as I said, Irwindale, Azusa, Duarte, and we are in strong opposition to the processing site at Lario Park. And I will not allow these decisions to go unchallenged. I am confident that we can work together to identify an alternate, safer location for this hazardous material. Our goal is that we fight and fight to find another process and another place for your site. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Alejandra Avila from the city of Baldwin Park. So what we want to share with you, this is not going to be an easy forum, as I know all of us are feeling very strongly about what's happening today, but in order to expedite and get the answers that we need, I will turn it over to the experts, but I will say this, it is really difficult to show up here and answer these questions. So I want to just offer respect, but at the same time, we're very mindful of how we're feeling, our concerns, our dissatisfaction with not being asked to come to the table, share some of the concerns, and we find out after the fact. But nonetheless, we want to offer respect. And so I will ask each one of the agencies to introduce themselves, make opening statements. I will start with Secretary Yana Garcia from Cal EPA to open up with introducing herself, some remarks, and then we'll move on to the next guest. You may start, Secretary.
Sure, thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Okay. Better? Great. First of all, thank you very much to the Senator and to the mayors and all of you who are hosting us here tonight. I want to start by acknowledging the extraordinary, unprecedented nature of the situation that we're in, the challenging time that this has been for so many of us, whether you have directly lost livelihood, home, or whether you are now at the impact of what it means to recover from a wildfire like this. Many of us, most of us, have never seen anything like this before in our lifetimes. And I just want to acknowledge that in that, there is a lot of confusion, understandable, stress, also understandable. And we acknowledge that the communication of accurate information is critical. Now, as a member of the governor's cabinet, I want to impress upon you that we are here for the long run. We are here to communicate with you, to continue open channels of communication and our partnership with all of you. Now, before I kick it over to the United States Environmental Protection Agency and our colleagues there, I do want to share just a little bit about our partnership. The United States Environmental Protection Agency is a critical partner to the state of California and to all of us. They have been mission assigned to initiate the first phase of recovery, which is a critical phase. The containment tents I will get to in just a moment, and you'll be able to ask more questions about the containment tents.
I would ask all our guests, like I said, I acknowledge how difficult this is, but I'm personally interested in getting answers, and if we don't allow them to speak, then we may leave without the answers. So I really do apologize, but we need answers from them. We need to make sure that our answers are sufficient, that we're satisfied, and that we know where this is headed. So as a resident myself, I really want to make sure that we have enough time, or else we're going to be left without answers. So if we can please hold our questions to the second hour, we will make sure that you get those questions answered. So, Secretary, you may continue.
Thank you, Senator. And you'll notice that I am pausing when you are interjecting with questions because they're important to us. We want to be able to understand them, and we want to get you accurate information. So I do want to talk about the critical nature of the work that EPA is doing right now via a mission assignment from the federal government to engage in what is known as Phase 1 debris removal. This is a critical step necessary to initiate the recovery of our communities in the long term. I want to clarify that this step entails removal of household hazardous materials. These are not necessarily toxic wastes. These are materials that have to be safely handled and removed so that the recovery period can happen. Now, these materials are going to the Lario staging area that has been decided by the federal government. And what I'd like to impress upon you is the importance of the safety measures that EPA is taking in handling this material at that staging area, again, as a critical component of our recovery process. Now, EPA and the state of California partner on many things: watershed management and protection, air quality protection, cleanups of brownfields, and health and safety protections.
So, can I interject for a little while? I know that we can talk about the big picture, but I have a couple of direct questions if you can help answer these questions. only because I know that.
Senator, respectfully, if I could just finish just very quickly, because we do want to kick it over to Tara. I think
So-
this is an important point. This is an important point. The state of California has some of the most rigorous environmental protections. You all are very aware of that.
Secretary, let me just stop you right there. I am a resident, as I stated to you today. I am a resident. I was not notified. I'm here in solidarity with my community to get some questions. So I'm going to ask very direct questions, and then I'll give you the opportunity to address them, because it is important to them and it's important to me. And so I know that in these questions, you're going to be able to address some of the concerns. After I ask my questions, then I'm going to turn it over to pending questions from the mayors, and then we're going to turn it over to our community. But I think you will address your comments with my questions. So number one, everyone has expressed the safety concerns. So today we want to know if you can address very specifically bringing the hazardous waste and the sorting materials to our community. What we're interested in, knowing how it's going to affect properties, parks, and our water. We have several water agencies here with us who've been calling, meeting, and talking about the safety of water. So can we just go in order and address the safety of water in our community? The second question I have is, can you share how the decision was made regarding the site, which I think this is what we're all concerned with? Very specifically, I know that you just said you have partnerships, but who in particular made those decisions? Because when I've tried to get answers, I've been told several times it's a federal issue and that I don't have a choice, but I want to find out from you who made that decision, who were the decision makers, and how to become part of our community. Number three, I want to understand what routes, if any, you're using in our community, because I heard on TV that you're going to close the freeway. So I have to assume some of the streets in our communities are going to be used. I still don't have answers as to how we're going to transport some of the waste, so I hope that we can address that. Number four, I know that I had extensive conversations with the secretary and others, and we were discussing the safety of the soil before and after, and some mitigation efforts. I'd like our community to hear that, how we plan to keep it safe. What are you doing to monitor? And this is not about the moment. What happens after it's gone? So for now, I'd like to have some of these questions answered, so I'll continue to turn it over to you and give you that respect. But these are specific questions that our community wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate all of these questions. I do just want to go back to the role that EPA has in managing the site before I kick it over to Tara. This is to answer the question. EPA will discuss.
I'm going to ask the audience that if we want our questions answered, I know it's frustrating, but we only have an hour, and I want to make sure you have your questions answered. Secretary, can you answer the questions that I just posed? Thank you.
EPA will talk about the safety measures that they will undertake at the staging area. And before they do, I do just want to say, on behalf of the state, we are lucky to have the team that is working at this staging area. They have extensive experience. Protecting watersheds, protecting communities, and engaging in the recovery process. Now, I will kick it over to our colleagues at US EPA, and I ask that you all work with us to make sure that residents have accurate information. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm just going to move on to our second guest. Look, first of all, what I wanted to hear is an acknowledgement of how we failed to communicate to our residents that this site was coming to the city of Doherty and Azusa and Bowen Park and Irwindale. So I think we cannot move forward unless we acknowledge that there was a breakdown in communication. I'd like to at least acknowledge that we did not get information and that we did not tell our residents that this was coming. So let's start with the acknowledgement of what happened, and that's a lack of communication. Can we do that, please? So I am going to turn it over to...
I will readily acknowledge that there should have been better communication, and we are happy to communicate with you moving forward. We welcome that.
So, so I'm going to ask, I know that we're frustrated, so this is not going to help us. So can I turn it over to the USA EPA to say a few words? And I know that this is, again, I've been told it's federal land. Federal partners, federal agencies are in charge of this land, so I'm going to turn it over to them to share with us how the decision was made and how we're planning to bring our community into the mix. So if you don't mind, can we have the U.S. EPA say a few words and share with us how the decision was made?
Good evening. Can you hear me now? Good evening. I'm Tara Fitzgerald with the US EPA, and I'm the incident commander for the Phase 1 operations in response to the Eaton and Palisades fires. Thank you for having me here today. EPA's mission is deeply personal to me. My father grew up in Doherty, and I have memories of visiting my aunt here as a child. The loss of homes in the fires represents not just physical destruction, but the destruction of lives, memories, and community bonds. It is of critical importance to me, I will get to the question. It is of critical importance to me and the EPA to protect the affected communities and environment, and it is an honor to be here to discuss our work. There have been questions about the safety measures that we are taking at the staging area. Yana gave a great understanding of the work that we do. We are collecting household hazardous materials and at the burn areas and packaging them for disposal at the temporary
Can we at
staging
least
area.
let her express her remarks? Because if we don't, then we're gonna have lack of time. And my concern is that we're not gonna leave here with answers. So let's give her the respect she deserves, and we're gonna let her. And we're gonna give you an opportunity to ask questions. Can you please continue?
So, the safety precautions that we are taking include proper packaging at the source where we collect the materials and transporting them to areas in the staging area where there is plastic lining, wattles, booms, and earthen berms in order to correctly store them in those areas for temporary storage, and moving them and packaging them for proper disposal to permitted hazardous waste facilities. We will have perimeter air monitoring throughout the site, well, around the perimeter, but at the site, to ensure that nothing is leaving the site, in the air. We are not concerned about any releases to the river because the types of materials in the area where we are in, we will not allow anything to reach the river. There's not enough materials to reach the river.
Respectfully, if I could, Senator Tara, folks, after this meeting, I think we've heard from the mayors that we're still opposing this site, and we have stuff to figure out. But respectfully, I've been getting a lot of flip-flop on questions that I've asked, and I really want to know and hear what she's saying, and I want to get educated because I'm not the matter expert. So please, if we can let them answer those questions, we'll get to your questions. We're going to keep working together. This is just the first step to getting more information. This is the first step that should have happened, but I really want to, and I know my colleagues up here want to know what's happening. So please.
So they have a presentation for us, and so out of respect for them coming here, I'm gonna just ask, with the mayor, we're here to ensure that we get at least a sense of where they're headed and give us an opportunity to regroup. It doesn't mean it's the end, and so we assure you that we're gonna sit down together, but we really wanna give them the opportunity to give us the information and then give you an opportunity to ask questions. So I'm gonna turn it over, go ahead, so you can finish your presentation. Thank you.
So as I mentioned, we have perimeter air monitoring. This is an example of the air monitors, and they measure for organic compounds and particulate matter. We are we have pre-sampled the soils prior to starting our activities in order to understand what is at the site, and we will sample again once we are complete to ensure that we have not left nothing behind from our activities. I've been asked to do the safety, to talk about safety precautions, and then I will discuss choosing the site.
So I understand your frustration, but remember, this team on this side of the room is on your side, and we will discuss where we go from here with your input. The mayors are committed to continuing the discussion, and they still have council meetings where they're going to allow you the opportunity to continue to express your concern. But if we keep interrupting, then we're not going to get the answers, and I want to make sure that at least we move forward with a little bit of information and give the council members and the mayors the opportunity to work with you to see what we can do to move forward in a direction that you guys want to see fit. So I will turn it over to you.
So,
Garcia, Mayor, you want to just try and help out?
so the second question was, I'm going to go ahead and just go to the second question. Can you share how the decision was made regarding where to put the site? So, as I spoke at the city council meeting yesterday, extensive search for properties near the Eaton Fire were taken. Because of the speed that EPA was asked to move forward with starting this phase 1 activities, many of those potential locations nearby were already in use for emergency fire operations,
I'm just going to clarify.
including Farnsworth Park, including the Santa Anita Raceway and the Rose Bowl. The site was designated to us through the Secretary of Defense and selected through careful coordination with our government partners, including the Army Corps and LA County parks. This staging area is essential for fire-impacted residents to begin the process of rebuilding. What I can say is that the EPA has done this work for responding to fires throughout the state of California since 2015. We responded to fires like the Woolsey Fire here in LA. We did the exact same thing. We had a staging location. We did not have any impacts to the community during our entire process. That's the same for the Camp Fire. That's the same for the Santa Rosa and Napa fires. We have extensive experience doing this, and the reason that we are brought in to do this work is because we do it safely, and it's not left to people who are just having to do it themselves for the first time. I recognize that our communication wasn't good, and that is a factor of us moving so quickly to address this issue. We've been asked to move as fast as possible because of the large...
By FEMA. By
So
FEMA.
can I interject? Let me interject for a second. I know what we all want to know, and I just had four mayors right now ask, and they just want one simple question. We understand that we're in a crisis. We understand that we're sensitive to the devastation and the fires from Palisade to Altadena. All of these residents, we're all neighbors. We all care, and our hearts go out to every single family that lost someone. But right now, what we want is just one question is, how did you select this site and not notify us? So is there a processes that we skipped that we're not seeing?
As I've said, we evaluated multiple locations, and this site was available in order for us to move forward. So,
okay, so give me a second. The mayors are still asking me the direct question is, why were not the mayors notified? If someone can answer that one question, why were the mayors and council members not notified? Is that normal under these circumstances?
it is normal under these circumstances. We do move this quickly. We do move this quickly during an emergency response. I want to address the routes
ask him.
that we're taking on with the trucks.
So we cannot yell out. Once again, if we continue to yell, I'm with you, but the mayors here want some answers. Mayor Gonzalez, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, when did you approach the county regarding this particular site?
I'm sorry, with
When did you
when did I
approach the
approach
county?
the county?
Or did the county approach you?
We worked with the state and county EIS to do.
You have to give her an opportunity to answer. Go ahead. When did you approach the county?
No, what day, was it 5 days ago, 10 days ago? When was the county approach, or when did you approach the county?
A few
Calendar
days
day.
before we signed the agreement on the 21st.
Which was when?
What day was the day that you signed?
Which was what day?
I don't know the specific day, but it was the week before.
A week before.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to give Mayor Gonzalez a chance to ask his questions and give them the ability to respond to the question. So, Mayor Gonzalez, can you repeat your question?
So, as we understand, it was January 22nd when that agreement was signed.
The 21st, yes.
21st. And when did you get to that site at Lario Park? When did you get to that site?
The 21st?
To mobilize. When did you get to that site? In essence, how many days?
Preparing the next day.
Okay, to that point, we were not notified by your group nor the county. So we were never notified.
Yes.
So,
And we do apologize for that. We were moving as much.
So, Mayor Garcia, did you have a question as well? You wanted to ask a question?
Oh,
go
it's
ahead,
very,
I'm sorry.
very important for us to get some answers. And so let's try to get some. Okay, so let's hear some answers. All right, regardless if we don't want it or want, I get it. But let's at least get some answers so we can move forward and figure out a better plan. So, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. It's all around that same thing with how the site was chosen, who gave those orders, but really, really simple. Why choose to transfer toxic waste from a site that's already toxic to communities that have not been affected? And it's a genuine question. Well,
Let's give him an opportunity to answer, please.
The household hazardous materials that are sitting open out in the air and exposed to water in the Eaton Fire footprint need to be removed. We do it safely, we store it safely in order to, that's why we transport them away from the burn area.
They're not going to be able to hear all of our questions, so we have your mayors up here asking, so because we want to make sure that they answer the questions, but your mayors here are going to do the questioning, then we're going to turn it over to you for all the questions that you submitted. So, Mayor, go ahead.
Is it common practice to move them that many miles away from a site like that?
Yes. So recently in Maui, we had a staging area that was a similar location, a distance away. I understand, and in California, it has also been the case. Oftentimes, these residences are very far up away, and the material needs to be transported to a distance that we can take it, and we need it in a location that was appropriate to use.
Now, Tara, during transport of the materials, do you test the wheels once they leave that the site that's been affected before they make their way through the communities?
So we do not take the trucks onto the properties. They're in the right of way where regular traffic is moving through the entire area. So all the utility trucks, all the residential trucks, these are where our trucks go. We do not take the trucks into the ash or into the properties. The material is brought out safely to the trucks for transport. We don't test it any more than you test a car that's been on a road, that the residential cars or the utility cars, the public utility trucks that are going out into the road. So they're staying in the right of way.
I'll let the other mayors ask questions because I have a sheet full, so I just want to respect the time.
You know, with this, the material, I have sympathy for all the homeowners there in Altadena that the fires, they lost their homes. I have sympathy with all of them. I have some friends that have lost their homes there. But for using this site here and transferring it towards 14 miles or so, and transferring it, why wasn't looked at the site where this toxic chemical is, where the fires are, to process this and ship it out from there? It seems like you're working double. It seems like you're working double, taking it from one area, taking it to another area, and resort it there, and then dispose it from there to another site. Now, you're creating the transfer from, it was through residential at first, now it's going through the 210 freeway.
Yes.
The 210 freeway, it's so packed with traffic. One of these vehicles, these trucks, could get in an accident with these semis going through there, and you're going to have toxic chemicals all over. It doesn't make sense to me. So the answer, why wasn't this processed at the site where the toxic chemicals were from the houses?
The materials here are coming from the Eaton Fire.
That's what I would like to know. So
What I can say is that we determined that this site was appropriate for use. We needed to, it was important for us to move fast. We were not able to get the sites that were closer.
I have a
want to
question.
hear the
Trying to get
answer.
those
Can we give the mayor the
space.
opportunity to have his question answered? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I have a question and a comment. It seems like we all have the same question. Why didn't you do the cleanup at the site? It is my understanding that there are quite a few areas, unfortunately, parks, churches, parking lots that were burned down. To me, that sounds like the perfect area to do the site because it's already contaminated. In whose right mind is it okay to transport contaminated material that you yourself said is not tested there until it's transported to the site, so you have no idea what's in there? So, in what mind fits that it's okay to transport something you don't know, although you say it's safe? Another comment, I don't know how many of you remember, and I don't have the full information, but back in 1979, there was industrial solvents that seeped into the groundwater. It was called the super site, the Superfund site. It has taken 25 years to clean that site, and to date, it is not cleaned. What guarantees us that there will not be an accident there, where in the future, we will have to do this all over again in the same area? And lastly, do any of you live near a site like that, or would you schedule contamination to go there? Thank you.
So, the question about the Superfund site. So, we do not, the work that we are doing here is not going to be at that level. We don't know we have certainly not at a risk of going into the groundwater. We are not allowing the materials to seep into the earth, which is how we do know that. We do know that. That's why we pre-sample, and that's why we post-sample, to ensure that that hasn't happened. We also know that because
Let
we
her answer
have
that, please.
berms,
Let's see
we
what she
have
has to
we have
say.
the
Thank
liner,
you.
We have people on site that are ensuring that these things are not spilling when they're being transported. These are not the volumes of waste that could ever create a Superfund site. These are smaller volumes of material from houses, from household materials like bleach, paints, used motor oil, and things like that. They are not an industrial
let her
chemical
answer.
site that is going to create a Superfund site.
Let her-
And we do know that because we have done this multiple times for multiple fires, and we have had no impacts to the land that we use.
I want to just focus on this last point that was made by Tara, which is that EPA has engaged in this work for many years and in many burn scars, in many areas for recovery, including in the state of California, and has not had an issue like this. And if we could allow Tara the time to walk through some of the protections that are put in place, you may know more about why this is so. The last thing.
So can I ask a question to refocus what we're having to discuss here? Because I did hear, I spent hours with you, as you know, on Sunday and on the side, and I spoke to a lot of experts, but it seems to me, and I've been hearing you say it's safe, and I keep hearing that over and over again, but you shared that it's going to be safe because you're able to put plastic lining, covers, and to Mayor from Baldwin Park's point, if that creates a safe space and site, then why not pick any other site near the contaminated area? Why do we have to come 16 miles? If we can make it safe anywhere, why not keep it near the impacted areas?
Once again,
Can we keep it down? And we need answers here, and we're not going to get no answers from. We're not going to get answers from staff. We need answers. This way, we're not getting answers. So can we just calm it down a little bit?
As we share, all of us are very frustrated. You hear your advocates here, your mayors, myself, and it is really important that we just allow the information to be shared, because this is how we know how to respond to this crisis, and it is a crisis for our communities. But let me just, again, refocus the question. It's been said over and over again that it's safe. There's plastic linings. You've done this many times before. We're not going to have contamination. So it seems to me that this could be done anywhere because of the safety measures that you've taken. So why drive 16 miles to another community where we could have contained it in the surrounding areas? Can we do the same in surrounding areas? Like I think the mayor of Baldwin Park stated, we have churches that were impacted, that were burned down. Can we use some of those sites, parking lots, vacant lots that cannot be used at this time? Is it possible to just reroute the circumstance, and that is taking it somewhere else? Where are we right now? I want to just know, is it possible to make a safe site closer to the impacted area?
So I want to answer the question about the location here. We were able to get access to this location quickly, as we were asked to do by the state. We were not able to get access to the locations closer. We are, in fact, continuing to look for access in other locations that are closer, including the Irwindale Speed, well, it's not closer, including the Altadena Golf Course, including several locations where we will still need to build additional staging areas.
Okay.
So we are still looking for access.
So Mayor of Duarte has one more question.
We were able to negotiate the access through the Army Corps.
This has
We are
everything to
looking
do
for
with the
additional
mission task and the strict timeline that EPA must adhere to, which is cleanup in 30 days' time. And everything to do with the expediency. And I do want to say our sincere apologies for not reaching out to the mayors And I do want you all to know, again, as I've mentioned, we are in this for the long run. We want to continue to hear from you. Thank you for holding this space.
Tara, you just mentioned you were looking for other sites at the moment. Can you pause the operations that have already started as of yesterday while you look for these sites?
We have to expand our operations. So we are not anticipating a pause at Lario. We are looking for additional sites to do additional staging areas.
And FEMA is the one expediting this 30 days. It's FEMA saying you have to finish in 30 days.
We have been tasked to do this work in 30 days.
My concern is that the rush in doing this, I feel like they're rushing your team. And you know, I believe in the work that you've done at that super site. But I do know that when you are rushed to do something, there is a big risk of human error. I mean, not being able, as of Monday, we did not know the routes, and I think the team on site did not even know the routes yet. Yesterday, we were a little unsure about the 210 freeway. We're unsure of the off-ramps. So I think that speed that you're being asked to work at, it's risky.
I understand that. I understand that, and regardless of the speed that we work, we do have to do the work safely because that's the entire point of our being here is to package this safely. But I want to quickly say the route because I know that this is a very question, and I want to say the route here that we are using the 210 when the trucks leave the site. They exit the site right to Mount Olive to access the 210 highway. These are empty trucks that leave the site with no materials.
They're contaminated already.
When they return from the site at the end of the day, they exit Irwindale Avenue, make a left and a right onto East Foothill Boulevard. So that is a route that I believe goes past the residents and comes up and then goes left.
So I definitely want to make sure that we get to some of the questions that you have posed. We have a list right here, but what I want to do is share my concern because what I heard on TV, and I'm having to express what I heard on TV, that's the first time I learned about it, was that you had alternate routes other than the freeway, and it is really unfortunate because the routes that are around where you plan to exit, we have City of Hope, we have, my school, which is down the street, we have the Performing Arts Center, we have so many areas, and it's not that it's not safe, as you're expressing, we just wanted to make sure that, again, you have to acknowledge that the breakdown in communication is why we're here, and so I want to get down to the questions of some of our residents, and I know that this may not be satisfactory as we don't have enough time, but I've already heard someone express City of Hope. Was there a site visit to understand how many schools are there, how many hospitals, churches, communities? What is the process to understand the logistics in some of our vulnerable communities in the area? We have a lot of senior homes as well. Can you at least share the process of, maybe site visits and how we came to that conclusion? How many schools? How many churches? How many hospitals? Do you have that information for us?
So ultimately, we do not look at that because we do not anticipate anything leaving the site. But this site is not located adjacent to schools.
I'm sorry, that is shameful.
It's not. It is at least 1,500 feet from at least.
Okay, we have to give them an opportunity to answer. Mayor, did you have a comment to that? Okay, Mayor Gonzalez.
I'm having trouble hearing the answers. We don't have speakers up here.
Yeah.
So I really want to get educated. So Tara.
So Mayor from Duarte is having a very difficult time hearing and being able to engage. So out of respect for your mayor here in Duarte, Mayor, you want that repeated back?
I didn't hear your answer, Tara. You did a pre-visit to the site.
Please let us hear the answer so it could be well recorded.
We certainly visited the site and looked at the site. We don't anticipate anything leaving the site. It is not directly adjacent to any residents or any schools. I understand that there are schools in the surrounding community,
Okay.
but we need to understand that the volumes of material that we are storing here and that we are bringing here, we are able to control on site, and it does not leave the site. This small footprint that we are in the Lario staging area.
Tara, is there an opportunity to divert the lithium-ion batteries from coming to this site? That's a question from Mayor Gonzalez.
Yeah, that was my question, concern, obviously, with everything headed to what's already being done. The lithium batteries that are projected to be here are coming. We're hearing contradictory positions from the fire department. And because we're getting our information from the media and not from the EPA, what is the actual hazard for the lithium batteries? Because Palisades, it's pretty much saying it's toxic, it's flammable, it's combustible, but yet you're bringing that to Azusa. And my other concern is you're bringing it to an area that's already prone to fires in the riverbed.
Mm-hmm.
So is this site 100% set to lithium battery collection, or are you open to do another site for that particular hazard?
I see. So yes, we do plan to process lithium-ion batteries here at this site. This site is in a similar location to where we have done this work in 2023 as part of our fire response. This is the first time in 2023 that we had begun processing these, and we have a lot of experience. It was in a very similar area with very similar location, with vegetation, and we have water suppression available in the event that there's an issue. But the fact is that if there is a battery, we would be able to use water if there was an issue. But we are able, in the event that...
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not able to hear up here, and the mayors are eager to engage in the conversation, but it's really difficult to hear. Out of respect for your mayors, let's make sure that she has the opportunity to give us her answers. Thank you.
So is the EPA open to move the lithium batteries to another site? Are you open for that discussion?
At this time, we know we can process them safely in this staging area.
Safely for who? I'm sorry, I have another. I believe this question was not answered, and it was done by Senator Rubio. The question, and I won't quote her, it was, before you decided on the site, did you do a research on how many hospitals, schools, senior centers, and how many residential houses you were going to affect? Because as you know, or maybe not, we have City of Hope right here across the bridge, which is a cancer research center. Did you research on what areas you were affecting? This is a school. This is a performing arts center. Did you do that research? And I don't believe we heard an answer to that.
That was not a factor in how we selected the site, because the materials that we are processing are very small volumes. It is not leaving the site. It is not close. It is not close to residents and
Ladies
schools.
and gentlemen, we can't hear up here, and the mayors need to hear those answers. I respect our concern, but we need to have those questions answered, and we can't hear on this side. I'm sorry, can you continue?
So the answer is no, you did not do the research, correct?
That is. We do not believe that this site is close to those sensitive types of...
Yes or no? You did not do the research, or yes, you did? That's all I need, a yes or a no.
We were aware of the location and
Yes
where it was
or
in
no?
place of residences and schools, but we did
Ladies and gentlemen, we need Mayor Alejandra Avila to ask her questions and get answers. Go ahead, Mayor.
Is that a yes? That all I need is a yes or a no. Did you do the research on how many hospitals, schools, performing arts centers, senior centers were in the area?
We were aware of the location of residences and schools and that they were.
And that's why
The
we are
number
here
of
today,
hospitals-
because we know. We know how many residents are here. We know how many hospitals, how many performing arts centers, how many schools and senior citizens and children are here. And they are important to us. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to ask a question that one of the residents asked, and I think you expressed it earlier. The Palisades contaminants are being staged near the burnt area. I believe you said Malibu, in close proximity to the burn scar. And they want to know why that approach was not taken here, where you contained the toxic materials within the burn scar of the Eaton Fire. That's coming from the audience.
Hi, good evening. My name is Katie Butler. I'm the director of the Department of Toxic Substances Control. We are responsible for overseeing safe management of hazardous waste in this state, and we've worked in partnership with EPA on many staging areas like this one. I want to go back to the last question. The answer is no, and there's a good reason for that. I'm also a toxicologist, and I hear the fear and I hear your concerns because you are worried about your long-term health and you're worried about your short-term health, you're worried about your families, you're worried about the hospitals, all your sensitive populations that are in your community, and I know you value them.
Can we
But
allow her
as a
to
toxicologist,
answer, please?
as a toxicologist, we have to look at the possibility of exposure from hazardous waste. Hazardous waste sounds really scary because sometimes it is, and that's why the experts have to handle it properly. Now, it can impact air, soil, and water, exactly like you all are saying, right? It can. But the precautions we take on this site ensure that it does not leave the site. So that's why we don't look at the full gamut of schools and hospitals in the area, because
Can we let her answer,
we can be
please?
sure that they will not be impacted.
My question is this. On that site and for future years, not just now, but when you guys pick up and leave, is there going to be an EPA commitment to clean up, legacy testing, long-term mitigation? Is there going to be a commitment from the EPA, not now, but years from now? Are you going to be accountable with funding sources?
So the
and
answer is yes. The state will be here if there are any issues found when the staging area is done being used. It is sampled. We're going to review those results together with the US EPA. And if there are any issues, which in our experience, normally there is not, then we will address them.
You mentioned you'd sample. You sample now. You're going to sample when you leave. Right now, when you committed to sampling in the future, would you sample a year from now, 5 years? You will continue sampling. And do we have access to all those samples while you're doing this process, from the air quality, daily water, air quality, daily progress reports to our cities of what's happening at this location?
So that is not something we normally do, but in this circumstance, I would like to work with you and EPA to see how we can make sure the data is shared in as timely manner as possible.
Now, I just want to let everybody know, our city is still committed to having this pause and to oppose it, but I do want to make sure that we have the proper safeguards if that doesn't happen. I mean, it's the federal government, we're local jurisdictions. I said it yesterday, it felt like David and Goliath. However, I do want to make sure that there's proper safety happening now and in the future, and we're going to continue. And you just said it yourself, the state will be held accountable if something were to happen. I just want that on record, and we have it on record.
I have a question. What is your timeline?
Can we
with this
please
site?
let the mayor of our window ask the question because it's really difficult to hear up here and out of respect for our mayors. Go ahead, Mayor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a lot of questions from audience. And so the question that was posed right now is, would you be comfortable sending your child to a school near a site like that? And she said, please assure me you would send your child to school. And I believe you said the answer is yes. I do have other questions from residents, and I want to get to some of the questions. One of the potential problems that they're having, two residents express this, is that if this site is used now, is this going to become an ongoing site for future disasters without coming to the community? What happens in the future? Is this going to be designated an automatic site?
No. So we obtained agreement if in the event that there was another fire, it would likely not be in the same area, so that this would not be an appropriate site. So once our agreement is closed, it does not continue. Once we return the access agreement to the Army Corps, then we have no more additional, rights to use the site.
Concerns are the wind factors.
Okay, give me a second. So Mr. Barolas from the City of Irwin has a question. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that we can't hear you on this side, and we're having a really hard time. So we don't mean to cut you off or be rude, but we don't hear the voices. But I'm going to give Mayor Barola from Irwin an opportunity to ask his question. Go ahead.
Yes, where the site is, it's foothills, and there's always a wind factor there, because it comes back. Now, we had just had a windstorm, and there could be another windstorm. These winds are not over yet. Now, what is your protocol for any type of wind? 30%, 10% even. What is your protocol when there's a wind factor there? There could be some wind there, and in Pasadena, Altadena, there's no wind. Now, what is your protocol there? I'll say it again. Would you stop project? Would you stop the project and wait till the wind dies down, or there's no more wind? Because it's the factor of the ashes of all these things, all the facilities and all the schools, City of Hope that you just heard. What would you do?
So we do have a wind threshold, and I apologize that I don't know the exact miles per hour for that today.
Now,
but I'm committed to
now let me
sharing
ask
that
another thing.
information.
Let me ask
and
another
I can
thing.
provide that information.
Are you in a time period for this to be done?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Are you
we
in a time
can't
period
hear
for this
up
to be
here,
done?
and
And what's the
the mayor is
timeline?
speaking. Thank you.
So, as you discussed, and with your concern about the timeline, we are tasked to complete the phase 1 operations in 30 days, and that would be the time. That would be the time that once we are complete with phase 1 operations, that would be the time that we stop transporting the materials from the Eaton Fire to the Lario location. I will. So there's a bit of a trailing time, and that would include time to package the last of the materials for disposal, time to sample, and time to remove our equipment and return the site to as it was before we left. So there would be a bit of time after that for us to do that and then turn over the property.
Okay, so you didn't answer the question I asked about the wind factor. The wind factor.
Yes, so-
Would you stop?
So as I said, I don't.
Would you stop because there's
Yes,
wind?
we have a threshold that we would have to stop operations in the event of a specific speed, and I said I don't have the exact speed, but I'm committed to sharing that.
Well, I want to add too that we will have on-site monitors. So if conditions on the site are unsafe at any time, including winds, it could be rain as well. We had to stand down our crews in the rain the other day because it was unsafe. So that could happen. There's a number of conditions where we would stop operations if the on-site monitors determine it's unsafe.
If I may,
Yes.
I hate to go back to the question on why this site was chosen, but the answer I'm getting, it seems that this was the path of least resistance because of the speed you were asked to work in. Now, the 30-day timeline. Yesterday when we talked about it, we asked, is 30 days reasonable to complete phase one? You said, we've been tasked to complete it in 30 days. The Eaton Fire footprint is over 14,000 acres. There have been multiple sites available within that burn area, I'm sure. Why wasn't a site or sites chosen within the burn area? What opposition was there to use some sites that are in that burn area? There's an article about the Palisades fire that said phase one would take them 18 months, and that's 15,000 structures. So 30 days just seems unreasonable.
So, to the last question, we've never given a quote of 18 months for anything for phase one, and it's never taken us 18 months to do phase one on any property, including the campfire, which had over 13,000 parcels. So, for example, there are less than 7,000 parcels in the Eaton Fire, and that did not take us. In no way took us 18 months. So I don't understand where that number came from.
I think that's where the confusion is. We saw that on the media today. There was a fire chief saying that 18 months would be phase one for Palisades. So you can understand where.
Okay, I understand. No, that's EPA has never provided that information.
Well, and I would like to ask a question that follows the Mayor of Duarte's question. I know that I've heard it as well. You've been tasked with doing it in 30 days. Isn't it time to reassess those 30 days? The fact is, we're doing it on the backs of our community and lack of information, lack of knowledge, and here we are. I have to appreciate this is not an easy thing for you to do. It's not. You have an entire community, so I hope you understand how I felt on Sunday, where I heard it on the news, and all of them were calling me, and I didn't have any information to give. I had to sit there with my staff and answer an entire day of questions without any information at my fingertips, so I appreciate this is difficult, but I had to do it by myself, so I hope that you appreciate that our community is just expressing their concerns. So once again, isn't it time to reassess if 30 days is the way to go, considering we have to figure out how to bring our community along?
So that
We can hear up here, please. Thank you.
So I understand your concern, and I'm hearing your concern about the 30 days. I don't know that we can reassess the deadline, but we can certainly take this input and talk to people about it.
Well, I'm hearing from our community, we want it to be reassessed and take it to the people you need to take it, because we need time to make sure that our community has all the answers that they need. And so I'm going to task you with going back to the people that are pushing this 30-day deadline, and please let them know that our community needs time to also reassess how we're going to approach this situation. Thank you. Mayor?
Certainly. I understand. Thank you.
The Mayor of Azusa has a question. Go ahead, Mayor.
Obviously, everybody has the same sentiment, and in my opinion, wouldn't it make more sense just to keep it closer to the actual burn scar? I mean, that seems to be the sentiment here, and why would we make it harder on ourselves? Why would we have a crisis and create a second crisis? 60 miles.
I understand.
And that, and secondly, as we talked about electeds in local cities, why weren't the water agencies notified? And if you're gonna test for toxics, are you gonna make that data available to the water agencies? Is that data gonna be available to them?
So absolutely. So our sampling data is available to agencies, and we're willing to make it public. It's public information.
Okay. So because we need assurances. Okay. Thank you.
Mayor from Baldwin Park had a question.
Yes, thank you. So you say you were mandated practically to pick a side that seemed to be the best side. Why isn't the governor here talking to us as he visited Altadena? Why isn't he here explaining to us the process, and why is it that he picked our community and not keep all the toxins within Altadena? I want to see the governor here. He's the one that sent you here. Why isn't he here? Why aren't the representatives from LA County here?
I don't have an answer to that.
Thank you. Okay, I have to keep reminding you that we can't hear up here, and we want to make sure that the mayor from Baldwin Park gets her answers. You want to repeat it? You want to repeat your question?
Do you have an answer for me on why they are not here? Have you talked to them directly? Who do you get your orders directly from?
I do not have an answer for why these representatives are not here. I was asked to come here, and I came in order to speak and to talk about the safety. But I cannot ask. I do not know why they're not here, and my partners from the state are here as well.
And I understand you're doing your job, and I appreciate that you're all doing your job, but maybe you should take this message to the governor and to the representatives and let them know that we are people here that are interested in finding out, where's this thought? How is he making these decisions? Where's our congressperson? Where's our LA County supervisor? Where are all those people that are working with you? Where are they? I need them to speak to our community.
Well,
I can't see him.
so, ladies and gentlemen, we can't hear up here because we don't have the sound system to hear your concerns, but I want to give the mayor of Baldwin Park the opportunity for that question. But one question that keeps coming over and over, there's a lot of homeowners in this community, and I have about 10 questions that are the same. And if you can address the property value in this community after they have a site such as Lario Park, if you can talk about other communities and the impact to their property values.
I can take this one. So there has not been any impact to property values based on our actions. Because there has not been any release from our activities to impact the values of properties nearby. Once again, I have to state, this action is temporary. We are doing it safely, and it will be contained on the Lario site safely. That's why we have the perimeter air monitoring, and that's why we have sampling to ensure that we don't leave anything on the site.
So can I...
and we've done this routinely in order to support fire response throughout California. And
So
we have
I wanna
not
interject.
impacted
We cannot
the
hear
community
the-
that surrounded it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot hear the answers because we don't have the capacity up here. But I want to give them the opportunity. The mayor's up here saying we cannot hear, and so we really want to make sure they have the information at their fingertips. But one of the issues that came up as I was calling over the weekend is the constant narrative that this is a federal issue, a federal site, and that we didn't have jurisdiction. But I know that we do have someone from the federal government. I want to introduce a Congress member who is in the front, so we're going to give him the opportunity to share some words, and please welcome him. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Senator Rubio, for giving me an opportunity to kind of say a few words.
Yeah.
Can you see me here? All right. Can you see me now? All right. Hold on.
So thank you for your patience. Thank you to the panel for also having a little bit of patience, and our... Okay, so we're going to have to allow our Congress member to address the issue. Can we ask somebody that's yelling and screaming to please step aside? Congress member? Can we make sure that we allow the congressman the ability to answer questions?
This is not the place.
Let me introduce you to your Congress member, Gil Cisneros. Let's give him an opportunity to say a few words. Congress member?
Good evening, everybody. So look, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. I want to thank the Senator for giving me just a couple of minutes here to kind of address you all. And like all of you, I was kind of hit with this over the weekend. The first thing I heard about it was the news story. Well, look, I'm angry like you all, and we want to do something about it. We want to work, as we see everybody kind of left here. We are working to try and do this, right? Like they said, this was not the best solution. It was the easiest. And we've been talking with the EPA. We talked with them on Monday. I spoke to them this morning. I am encouraging to continue to seek out alternative sites for the community because this is not the best site. They've even said that they would prefer not a dirt location, that they would have asphalt. And of course, anybody who's been over there know that there's no asphalt at this location. But we will keep working. I will keep fighting, and we'll work here with our state representatives, with our mayors, to make sure that this becomes, that they look to continue to find alternative sites. I hear you. I hear you. Believe me, if I had the power to shut it down, I would. If I had the power to do that, I would. If I could put it somewhere else, I would. All right? But we will continue to raise our voice. I'm hearing you, and we will continue to work this problem to get it taken care of. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So,
Now, folks,
thank
it's...
you. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I refocus our attention to the fact that we wanted to have our questions answered, and at this point, clearly we don't have someone answering any more questions, and I will defer to our local mayors for comments. Each one of them is going to make comments, and I'm disappointed because this is what we had to. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead.
Thank you, Senator. Before I continue, I think we've all expressed, and the congressman just said, if he had that power and if we had that power, that site would not be there right now. Had it been communicated to us before, we would have done the same thing we're doing right now and push back because we don't think that is the appropriate site for this. However, I do want to make sure I didn't do this earlier. I want to highlight my colleagues because it is together that we can get things done, and we're going to continue working together. We have scheduled a closed session to discuss what steps we're going to continue taking. So Mayor Pro Tem Martin Del Campo, Councilmember Calderon, Councilmember Finley, Councilmember Trong, Councilmember King, Councilmember Lewis, it's 7 of us. I wanna thank each and every one of them because they are behind us on this. However, I am disappointed that our panelists left. We were left in the dark. And they.
So wait, ladies and gentlemen, this is your mayor of the city of Duarte. They've all been really hard at work over the weekend fighting for you. We brought the stakeholders because all of us are in agreement. We're with you. This is our community, and we're going to continue to fight. And we want to make sure that you give them the respect they deserve because these are the people that are fighting for you alongside me. So let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Senator. I am disappointed that they left because, as you can see, I have 2 sheets of questions that we couldn't get through. But we were left in the dark, and I hope that message was clear. I hope they understand how frustrated they are, and I hope they take this message all the way to the higher-ups because I know that the buck doesn't stop here. I do want to commend Tara because her feet are on the fire, and I believe it's coming from way above. And Mayor Avila, you're correct. Where is the governor this night?
So now I will give the mayor of Azusa an opportunity to close, and I believe that he's going to have a follow-up meeting. Mayor, you want to express your thoughts?
Want to thank all of you for being here this evening.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we can't hear the mayor of Azusa. And remember, he's a partner in this fight, and he's going to continue to have meetings in Azusa as well for Azusa residents. Let's give him the respect that he deserves. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Look, it's a regional issue. It's not an Azusa issue. It's a regional issue. It affects all of us. So it's important that we address your concerns. We are on the same side as you. We have concerns. We were blindsided with this. We did not know. It was not communicated to the cities of Azusa, Duarte, or Irwindale. Our concern is always obviously safety and health, but the trickle effect that our neighboring cities, Glendora, Baldwin Park, El Monte, South El Monte, those cities are Monrovia, Arcadia. We got a small win. It's not a great win, but with the conversations that we had on Monday in that 30-minute briefing, they were going to use surface streets. And we got them to at least consider not using surface streets because it would have affected the cities of Sierra Madre, Arcadia, Monrovia. So we need to continue the dialogue and continue the conversations amongst the cities and protect ourselves. Our safeguards got to be put in place. Accountability to the EPA needs to be addressed. It needs to be put in writing and on record. This is the federal government. We understand this is federal land. Understood. But we need to make sure that we are protected not just now, but when the circus is over and the tents are popped up, that we're protected for future years to come. So thank all of you for being here. I wish it was a better outcome. Wish we got some better answers, but we'll continue the conversation and dialogue. So thank you.
So Mayor Brudola from the city of Irwindale, closing thoughts and remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here and listening to the questions, because we are, it's not over. We, as mayors, council members, we hear what's going on from our residents, from our cities surrounding. We know what's going on. We hear it. It's not going to be over yet. We got to be on top of it, and that's where we're at right now. We're on top of it. We had a town hall meeting here to answer some questions, and this is not over yet. So have patience, and all these things that are happening, we got to be pushing and pushing and pushing. So it's not over. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to the mayor of Baldwin Park, Alejandra Avila, to also make some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. But I want to state, we had a full house, but we need to double this crowd. We need to get more people out here because you, the people, are the ones that matter. We are here for you. We got elected to represent you and to do everything in our power to protect you. Right now, it was not, as you saw, they walked away. Did not seem successful, but they walked away because they know we're right. And I'm hoping, and I pray a lot, that they're going to listen and they're going to shut that down and bring it back to Altadena. We will not give up. We will keep the fight. Keep the fight. Thank you.
Thank you. So what I do want to say that the people that are sitting before you right now are your allies. They're your advocates. I can attest that all these people on stage, including myself, were working over the weekend trying to put this town hall together. It's really difficult to put it together in 2 days, but we did it because we wanted to make sure that you had answers. Clearly, we don't have the panel to answer any questions anymore, but we can assure you, and I can speak for all of them, this is not the last time they're going to hear from us. We're going to continue to be very aggressive in getting answers for you. We're going to be aggressive in asking for a different site. This is unacceptable that they left the community of Duarte, Azusa, Irwindale, and Baldwin Park out of the equation. And I encourage you to call also county supervisors and everyone that's involved in this process to be responsive because they need to hear us. And we are not going to be quiet. We're going to continue to push. But please give yourselves a big round of applause for coming out. And give our local elected leaders here a big round of applause because they're fighting every day for you. Thank you, mayors. Thank you to city managers, school board members. I see water agencies here as well. And so we're all advocating on your behalf. Unfortunately, this is as far as it's going to go. We cannot answer questions that we don't have answers to. And so we will circle back. Mayors, are we in agreement? We're going to continue to push on this issue. So we want to thank you. You are the heart of the community. You are the reason why we're here. And we're with you. We stand with you. We're not going to stay quiet until we get some answers. So thank you very much.